What will remain of you when your name is spoken for the last time? Not this year, not next year, but decades from now, when your voice is gone, your strength is spent, and your body is only a memory. What exactly will still be alive because you once lived? Have you ever noticed how quietly most men disappear? They work, they struggle, they stay busy, and then one day they are gone, and the world barely pauses. No echo, no continuation, no evidence that their years meant more than survival. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If tomorrow were taken from you, would there be proof that you were here for a reason, or only traces of effort, exhaustion, and unfinished intentions? This question does not accuse you, it reveals you. Most men think legacy is built at the end of life. In truth, it is built daily. It is shaped through habits so small they appear harmless. Neglect them, and your life dissolves into routine. Obey them, and you begin to construct a monument that outlasts your breath. The average man walks through his days in a state of hypnotic rhythm. He reacts to the weather. He reacts to the news. He reacts to the moods of those around him. He is a leaf on the surface of a river, convinced he is swimming when he is merely being carried toward the waterfall. He calls this living. The Codex calls this drifting. To drift is to surrender the sovereignty of the soul. It is the silent epidemic of the masses. They have no definite purpose, no central desire, and no internal compass. They wait for a lucky break that never arrives, not realizing that luck is a ghost that only haunts the houses of the prepared. I practiced a discipline that few could perceive and even fewer could endure. My greatness did not rest on power alone. It rested on restraint long before power was ever achieved. I refused to indulge resentment. I would not rehearse insult. While others argued, I organized. While others reacted, I coordinated. I focused my thought on harmony and purpose. I understood a fundamental truth that the 99% will never grasp. Internal chaos is the architect of external failure. Most men do not lose their time suddenly. They bleed it slowly through ungoverned thinking. They allow the world to set the tone of their minds. They permit the noise of the marketplace, the whispers of the insecure, and the distractions of the mundane to invade their sanctuary. The legacy man, however, begins each day with thought before action. He does not permit the world to set the tone of his mind. He decides his inner posture before the first demand of the world appears. This is not mysticism. It is strategy. A man who begins the day ruled will end the day exhausted. Observe the architecture of a great life. It is not built of steel and stone, but of seconds and minutes governed by an iron will. I knew that to rule an industry, I must first rule the territory between my own ears. If a man cannot govern his own temper, how can he govern a corporation? If a man cannot master his own focus, how can he master the complexities of a global empire? The answer is simple. He cannot. Repetition is the mechanism of authority. Each time you choose a thought deliberately, you train the subconscious to obey. The mind learns through use, not intention. Thought ruled once is effort. Thought ruled daily becomes instinct. This is how inner government becomes permanent. As this discipline deepens, others begin to perceive it. They cannot name it, but they feel it. You appear steady, grounded, difficult to provoke. Your presence calms disorder. Your silence carries weight. This is not charisma, it is coherence. The world trusts what is internally aligned. Talent without mental rule produces collapse, not continuation. We have all seen brilliant men fall because they could not govern themselves. They had the talent to reach the summit, but they lacked the character to stay there. The secret to immense wealth starts with the realization that money is a secondary effect. It is the shadow cast by a solid object. That object is a mind that has been disciplined into a single, sharp point of focus. Most minds are like a light bulb. They cast a soft, diffused glow that lights a room but cannot cut through anything. A Titan's mind is like a laser. It takes the same energy, but focuses it into a beam so concentrated it can cut through steel. Consider your own thoughts over the last 24 hours. Were they chosen by you, or were they suggested to you? Did you rehearse your goals, or did you rehearse your grievances? The Fortune Codex dictates that you are the guardian at the gate of your own mind. If you allow the weeds of doubt and the thorns of anger to take root, you cannot complain when your garden is a wasteland. Wealth is not something you get. It is something you become. It is a frequency you tune into. If your internal broadcast is one of lack, of not enough, and of maybe tomorrow, you will never hear the music of abundance. You must change the transmitter before you can change the reception. This is the first law of the Forge. The greatest tragedy of the human race is not a lack of talent, but a lack of definiteness. Most men drift through their decades in a haze of someday. They want success, but they cannot tell you what success looks like in a single, unyielding sentence. They want money, but they cannot name the exact date, the exact hour, or the exact service they will provide to earn it. To be vague is to be safe. To be definite is to be responsible. Most avoid the burden of a definite purpose, because once a goal is stated with clarity, the excuse for failure is removed. The drifter loves his excuses. They are the blanket that keeps him warm in the winter of his mediocrity. But the Titan understands that the universe does not respond to a whisper. It responds to a command. A mind without a definite purpose is like a ship without a rudder. It uses a massive amount of energy to go nowhere. It is tossed by the waves of circumstance and eventually broken against the rocks of reality. Consider the unwritten check. If the world were to hand you a blank check today but demanded that you fill in the exact amount and the exact plan to justify that amount within 60 seconds, would you freeze? Most would. Their plans are merely wishes wrapped in the language of hope. Hope is a beautiful thing, but it is a poor architect. You need a blueprint. The Fortune Codex dictates that a desire only becomes a reality when it is burned into the consciousness as a fixed obsession. This is the point where the thought is no longer something you have, but something you are. When the purpose becomes so definite that every action, every word, and every breath is aligned with its fulfillment, the material world has no choice but to reorganize itself to accommodate that vision. This is not magic. It is the law of mental gravitation. Fear is the invisible wall between the man and his empire, specifically the fear of poverty, the most paralyzing of all the ghosts that haunt the human mind. It is a silent thief. It does not steal your gold. It steals your ability to think the thoughts that create gold. Most men make their financial decisions from a posture of defense. They are not playing to win. They are playing not to lose. They seek security, not realizing that security is a myth invented by those who have already surrendered. There is no security in a changing world. There is only the strength of one's own ability to adapt and conquer. The ghost of poverty creates a poverty consciousness. It fills the mind with images of lack, of struggle, and of not enough. Because the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a destructive thought and a constructive one, it faithfully translates these images of lack into their physical equivalent. You cannot attract wealth while rehearsing the drama of being poor. You cannot build an empire while worrying about the cost of the bricks. The legacy man trains himself to look past the current deficit and see the future abundance as a present reality. He does not ignore the struggle, he transcends it. He understands that the seed of fear is planted in the soil of indecision. When you refuse to decide, the ghost of poverty moves in. When you decide with finality, the ghost is evicted. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you do not fill your mind with the images of the wealth you intend to create, the world will fill it with the images of the poverty you fear. You must choose your tenant. They speak of hard work as if it were a virtue in itself. It is not. The world is full of men who work 14 hours a day and die in debt. Effort without the codex is merely manual labor. Effort directed by a definite purpose is alchemy. The Titan does not merely work, he transmutes. He takes the intangible energy of a thought and through a series of governed actions forces it to take a physical form. This is the secret that the 99% ignore because it sounds too simple. Physical wealth is nothing more than thought energy that has been slowed down and solidified. To transmute thought into gold, one must understand the law of increasing returns. This law states that a man should always render more service and better service than that for which he is paid. Most men do the opposite. They try to give the least amount of value for the greatest amount of reward. They are trying to cheat the universe, and the universe cannot be cheated. By going the extra mile, the legacy man creates a vacuum that the world is forced to fill with compensation. He becomes a creditor to society. When you do more than you are paid for, you are essentially loaning your energy to the future. That loan must be repaid, often with massive interest. This is the discipline of the forge. It is the refusal to be average. It is the commitment to excellence when no one is watching and no reward is in sight. The world sees the sudden rise of a titan and calls it an overnight success. They do not see the years of transmutation. They do not see the 1,000 days of rendering service without pay, knowing that the harvest was inevitable because the seeds were planted in the fertile soil of the codex. No man is truly self-made. To believe in the myth of the lone wolf is to believe in the certainty of exhaustion. The Titan understands that the human mind, however brilliant, is subject to the law of entropy. It grows tired, it grows biased, it grows blind to its own errors. The Fortune Codex demands the formation of a mastermind alliance. This is not a social gathering or a partnership of convenience. It is a spiritual and intellectual covenant. It is the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of absolute harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. When two minds are joined in harmony, a third invisible mind is born, a mastermind that possesses more power than the sum of its parts. This third mind has access to a level of intuition and creative energy that the individual can never reach alone. Look at the history of every great empire, every massive fortune, and every world-changing invention. You will find, hidden in the shadows, a master mind. I had my circle. Edison had his laboratory. You cannot build a skyscraper with a single pair of hands, and you cannot build a legacy with a single perspective. If you are the smartest person in your circle is not an alliance. It is an anchor. You must find those whose strengths are your weaknesses and whose vision matches your intensity. Only then does the impossible become inevitable. To the 99% who search for a magic pill, these words will remain invisible, but to you they are the blueprint for the temple you are building. These are the 7 pillars of the forge. 1. Definiteness of purpose. You must know exactly what you want and exactly what you will give in return. The universe does not negotiate with the vague. 2. The mastermind. Harmonize your energy with those who can amplify your vision. Power is never found in isolation. 3. Applied faith. Faith is not a feeling, it is a state of mind. It is the ability to see the harvest while the field is still frozen. 4. The extra mile. Render more service than you are paid for, and the world will be forced to pay you for more than you render. 5. Self-discipline. If you do not conquer your own impulses, your impulses will conquer your fortune. 6. Controlled thinking. You are the guardian at the gate of your mind. Do not permit a single thought to take root that does not serve your purpose. 7. Persistence. The drifter quits at the first sign of fatigue. The Titan knows that failure is merely a signal that the plan was imperfect, not that the goal was impossible. The clock is the only thing in this room that does not lie. Every tick is a piece of your life that has been traded. What did you receive in exchange for the last hour? Was it a step toward the throne, or another hour spent drifting in the fog? Most men will finish this message and return to their old rhythms. They will feel a momentary spark of inspiration, only to let it be extinguished by the cold winds of their environment. They will die with their music still inside them, leaving nothing behind but dust. But you have the codex now. You understand that wealth is not a matter of luck, but a matter of law. You understand that the forge is hot, the metal is ready, and the hammer is in your hand. The question is no longer whether you can become a Titan. The question is whether you have the courage to kill the version of yourself that is satisfied with being a leaf. The vault is open. The choice is yours. What will remain of you when your name is spoken for the last time? Build your echo.